fortunate, very lucky to have that opportunity that had not been there before. And somehow it just happened for all of us at that time with Bob and then with Lindley after that to have a strong youth group that was just not here, but tied us with youth all across East and North Carolina, because we went to camp in at Camp Caroline, and we would see them, and then other times, and so it was like 3 or 4 times a year, and then a whole week in the summer, and if you didn't go to camp, I mean, it was like the world would come to an end back then. I mean, it was not just to see your girlfriends, that was part of it, but it was something inside your soul that you remembered from the year before, that was a part of who you were.
And the interesting thing is that when I was in high school, that didn't exist. Much. Now, what the dynamic may have been, I don't remember. It was really powerful in the mid to later 1950s, and then tailed off considerably.
But it led to great people like Buddy becoming a minister, and others really did.
And you're right ahead of me, one sentence ahead of me there. I'm waiting to find a minute to jump in here. We have all these people who decided to go into the ministry out of that group, and that must have been part of the inspiration and drive to do that.
I can say without question, it was the youth group and camp and conference, all of that was a part of helping me to make that kind of decision that later came.
So you're living proof of the dynamism and energy.
Yes, but there were so many. David Blackwood.
Right.
Yes.
But he's 4 years ahead of me. But, so the youth group wasn't really going on that much. But his sister was a part of that, Janet, his sister. And then Bill Hare, who, and that whole kind of thing, he went into the ministry. I'm not trying to think of some of the other ones, but it was a moving experience. And I was Joe Notion. Joel Warren, that's right. He was there every Sunday. I mean, the world would come to an end, maybe, but we would still be here for youth group. It was that kind of magnetic dynamism.
One of the things that Beth Burton told me in her interviews, the interview I had with her, she said she considered herself to have been in the ministry here at kind of the end of an age.
Exactly.
And she said she was right at the tail end of a time where the church was at the absolute center of the family. And she said toward the end of her time here, she was having increasing trouble having to sell camp. And she said in the early years, you didn't have to sell camp. It sold itself. And so it's interesting to hear the conversations about this.
Okay. What about my girlfriend did? What does she remember about this youth period there with all this energy?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I've never ever forgotten it. In Camp Caroline, it was so much fun, but it was so inspiring that you just did not forget it. Like Buddy said, I mean, you go down there and see your boyfriend or whatever, but the spiritual part of it is something that I have never ever forgotten, and I won't ever. I mean, it was just, it was wonderful. I mean, there's not much to
Well,
say
I
about it.
think you said it right, and maybe Beth, I'm not sure when Beth was here, but it was very much a part of every week's activity, what was going on for us in the youth group to be here. And of course, we all went to CYL conference for 4 years, those in that group, and I went 1 year to Cairo camp, so I went 5 years straight. And the closing events at camp or conference in those times was a real soul moment. It was a good moment. You came away feeling like it was, I've had had this kind of experience and it helps me know that this is good. And the church became,
The center.
it was, the church was the center of it. And
And they always ask us at the end of the camp meetings, the last campfire, come forward if you give your life to Christ.
yeah,
That was a real critical time, and you would not believe
how
how
many people,
many young people, and by the end of that week, would go up and recommit their lives.
Oh, yeah.
It was a wonderful thing.
Where was it?
This was at camp.
the camper.
Camp
The
Carroll.
thing I remember the most was the fun, but the most was the last night. They had like a service, and then you did not speak till the next morning.
Next morning.
And when everybody got in a circle, and they had, it was almost like you couldn't, I mean, I almost want to cry, thinking of it, you almost couldn't speak, it was so
Yeah.
inspiring. I mean, it was just, and you don't forget
Yeah.
things like that.
They kind of talk about, it's called a consecration service, and like Betsy said, 70 and 80 campers, and you think, can they ever be quiet? They were quiet.
Not one more.
And the next morning you got up and you went to your morning walk. Morning walk, I don't know about that, you had your time of reading the scripture, something in the book, whatever it was, and then you couldn't speak until after the blessing at